Minutes to the chairman of the Trade Subcommittee, the distinguished gentleman from Texas, Mr. Brady.
The gentleman from Texas is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You may not sense it from some of the remarks today, but in truth, this bill has strong bipartisan support, and I rise in support of this legislation. Renewing the preference program is one valuable step Congress can take together to help spur economic and job growth here in America. As last week's jobs number, or more importantly, the zero jobs number showed us, our economy is struggling, and nearly 14 million Americans who want a job can't find one. 22 million Americans who want a full-time job can't find one. The lapse of this preference program has hurt the competitiveness of our American manufacturers and others who rely upon these imports as raw materials and inputs. We all know our state's best. In Texas, 27 companies have asked Congress to renew this preference program. These companies import such products as chemicals, iron and steel flanges, and ceramics for use as inputs for their manufacturing operations at home in Texas. These imports support jobs in my local communities and make our manufacturers more competitive when they compete against companies overseas. And the program benefits every state in this way, not just mine. The lapse of the program since the beginning of the year has cost my Texas companies over $21 million in unnecessary duties. That $21 million could have been used to hire more employees or invest in new equipment. Instead, it was taxed away from them. This legislation would provide a retroactive renewal of the program, give these companies the opportunity to get these duties refunded to them, and I know they can use this money more effectively to promote jobs and invest in our economy than sending it here to Washington. Mr. Speaker, I'm particularly pleased there's strong bipartisan support for this legislation. The leadership of the Chairman Dave Camp, along with the Ranking Member Levin and Congressman McDermott, my friend and co-worker on the Trade Subcommittee, as original co-sponsors of this legislation. And as a result of this strong bipartisan support, I expect it to pass strongly tonight in the House. I hope the other body will move quickly to consider this legislation. Last December, during the holidays, the House passed by voice vote a renewal of this program. It would have prevented the lapse of the program. Unfortunately, it never made it out of the Senate. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I urge not only bipartisan support for this legislation, but bicameral support for it as well, so we can get this money back in the hands of American manufacturers and job creators. Mr. Speaker, I yield back.
The gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Washington is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I yield 4 minutes to the gentleman from Oregon, Mr. Blumenauer.
The gentleman from Oregon is recognized for 4 minutes.
Thank you. My good friend from Texas is right. There is strong bipartisan support for this legislation. There was bipartisan support for the legislation when it passed in the Senate, in the House last December when it expired. But unfortunately, the Senate shut down. There would not be allowed to move forward by the